Well said.
I call Materia Ture.
Thank you, Mr Chair. Funny story, actually. I applied at my high school to do economics, and they put me in the home economics class because I was a girl. So there you go, Mr Seymour. And yes, if you had known me in fifth form, you would have had a really fun time. Anyway, I do just want to deal with Mr Seymour's criticism, because what he's saying of the SOP that I have on the table, to require that the SHAs have a proportion of building that is sold at a price that is either at or below 4 times the median household income, which is the median multiple. It's used internationally as a general definition for affordability. And the reason why I think that is justifiable and required in SHAs is because those who get access to an SHA get fast-track consenting processes. They actually save money, significant amounts of money and time in the process of developing that land. Now, it is good that they are developing that land for housing if they were required to, because remember, there is no obligation for them to build once they get access to the benefit of the fast-tracked consenting process. This government will not require them to build. In fact, even under this new bill, they only require them to make an application for a resource consent. They don't require them to get a code of compliance, which is indicative of them having built a property. So these speculators, these investors, these developers have access to an enormous financial advantage by having their land declared as a special housing area with no obligation to build, but fast-tracked access through the resource consent process. Now, what is their reciprocal obligation to the community whose efforts, through us as a representative, as the Parliament, whose efforts, time and money are delivered to them for free? So these developers get access to the special housing areas and the fast-track consents. It is a public interest that is delivered to them for free. What is their reciprocal obligation? What is their reciprocal obligation back to the public? Now, the Minister says houses, but he is talking about houses that cost $600,000 plus to buy. Now, that is no public interest. That is delivered by the whole of the country for developers to be able to get fast-tracked access through the consent process, save money, considerable amounts of money in the process, and still make, at market rates, sell off those properties. That is not providing a reciprocal responsibility back to the public who have provided to those developers some access to services and support that cost money that the developers don't have to pay. So we want to make sure that if there is going to be a gift from the public to these developers, there is a reciprocal obligation from them to provide a public benefit. And one of the public benefits that has to be provided as part of any housing development process that is driven by government on behalf of the country as a whole is that affordable housing is built and provided. That is the whole point of the special housing areas, is that affordable housing is built and provided for sale. Now, there is no requirement in the special housing areas policy, as it is or under this bill, for genuinely affordable housing to be provided by those developers. And the Green Party says that is part of the deal. You, developer, get access to this special fast-track process. You get to save money as you do it. You get to make money from quite a big proportion of the properties that you build and sell, but you have a reciprocal obligation back to the New Zealand public who have given you that opportunity. Why is that so difficult for the government to understand, that reciprocal obligation? And it should be understandable also by the ACT member. Now, I know he's got a philosophy that he lives by in ACT, and it's great that ACT has got one of those. didn't mean that nicely. It came out kind of not quite. But even in that sense, he should be able to understand that if there is a genuine, Mr. Chair.
Materia Turai.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If there is a genuine, balanced or equitable relationship between two parties to a deal, then both parties need to benefit from that deal in a genuine way. That's kind of part of the philosophy. At the moment, all of the benefit rests with the developer in the special housing areas. And we know that because most of the special housing areas in Auckland have not had any building on them yet. Because land banking those special housing areas and getting the consents fast-tracked but not building provides those developers with a financial windfall that is delivered to them by the public. So let's just find a way, a gentle way. It's not going to scare anybody massively. It's not going to make a huge financial imposition on those developers. It's not going to stop further SHAs from continuing if this bill passes. It simply provides a mechanism for making sure that there is some reciprocity in this deal. That is at least the minimum that we should be requiring as members of Parliament representing constituents who are locked out of the housing market and who are telling us every day that there is a housing crisis, that they can't afford to buy houses when they need them. This is at least some way that we can make sure the interests are better represented. Now, it's not complicated. It's a small amendment to the existing legislation. It makes it clear what the affordability target is, which the Minister himself has agreed is a good target, 4 times the median household income. He has said that publicly, that he understands that to be the right target. So let's make sure when we are doing, as a government, as a parliament, when we are doing deals to improve housing in New Zealand and to increase the supply of housing in New Zealand, as we know needs to happen, that there is a clear target for what affordability means so that everybody who is involved in the deals around building homes knows what they're getting into, with full disclosure about what is expected by government in engaging in this deal. That it is financially responsible, because of course this is not a huge imposition on those developers. It gives them an opportunity to look more comprehensively at their overall building package, how many homes they're going to build and sell for significantly more, and there will be some people in the market who can afford to buy those homes at quite an inflated price. And make sure that they'll be able to make a significant profit and to keep on developing. This is not going to provide any chilling effect on these developers. It just changes slightly their price points and how they manage the properties that they have got. It is absolutely, it is absolutely essential that we get more affordable housing. And the only way to do that is to be clear about what affordability is, which is 3 to 4 times the median household income. And to make sure that those who are getting a public benefit from this legislation have an obligation back to the public to build those houses. Look, more than 80% of Aucklanders have said that there's a housing crisis. Well over 50%, in some cases 60% of New Zealanders say that house prices need to fall, including homeowners, including Aucklanders. We know that it is a crisis and it needs to be dealt with. This is a small change that could be made to fix at least some of the problems that we have with SHAs that are not delivering. It's not expensive, it's not complicated, it's just sensible, and it respects the public benefit that these developers are getting. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Carmel Sepuloni.